Hello, today we are going to talk about the biomedical model and its assumptions. The objectives of today's topic are to understand the history of the biomedical model, to understand its philosophical and theoretical foundations and perspectives, understanding the germ theory, understanding the principles and assumptions of the biomedical model, and understanding the advantages and disadvantages of the biomedical model. History of the biomedical model. The first written evidence of the knowledge about the relation between soul and body can be traced in the period from the year 500 to 300 BC in the writings of ancient Greek philosophers. In the year 500 BC, Hippocrates spoke of a certain type of holistic approach to health and disease. Hippocrates was the most famous physician of the ancient times. His 58 writings were preserved in the collection Corpus Hippocraticum. The most relevant writing in it was the Perficios Anthropou, or On the Nature of Man. Hippocrates was influenced by the Pythagorean theory according to which nature was made of 4 elements which include water, earth, air, and fire. And therefore, in the same way, Hippocrates propounded that the human body consisted of 4 fluids or humors: black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, and blood. The physician had to restore the healthy balance of these humors by facilitating the healing work. However, the early writings show the signs of a multifactorial model of disease. Although even at that time the dualistic approach regarding the understanding of soul and body also prevailed, according to this approach the body and soul are thought to be distinct and normally integrated, but the soul can exist separately. There were 2 main kinds of dualistic holism in the traditional Christian era. The one was substance dualism or Augustinian dualism, which holds that the soul and the body are distinct substances or things or entities that are conjoined to form a whole human being. Adapted from Plato, the supporters of this view were Augustine, Anselm, Eastern Orthodox theologians, Calvin, Descartes, and many other Protestant theologians, including Alvin Plantinga and Richard Swinburne in the modern times. The other theory, which was proposed by Thomas Aquinas, popularly known as soul-matter dualism or Thomist dualism, which was adapted from Aristotle and highlighted that humans consist of a substantial soul that informs matter to constitute a bodily human person. A human is not 2 substances but one being consisting of a spiritual soul and matter. The developments in modern philosophy and science challenged the traditional Christian dualism. Thomas Hobbes anticipated the current physicalism by claiming that the soul results from movements of parts of the body. Baruch Spinoza was a monist who argued that soul and body are inseparable aspects of a single substance. Whereas Hippocrates laid the foundation of Greek medicine, Galen further developed its theory and practice. Galen, the renowned physician of ancient time, directed the early holistic concept which was elaborated by Hippocrates towards searching local pathology, that is, organic damage to organs and tissues and its effect on health. Galen also spoke about holistic approach to disease and was opposed to specialistic models seen in ancient Egyptian medicine. Galen's chief contributions to the theory of Greek medicine were his theories of the 3 varieties of pneuma or vital energy and the 4 faculties of the organism. He also developed and expanded the humoral physiology of Hippocrates. According to him, health is the balanced, harmonious, optimal functioning of all organs and systems of the body. Later, the scientific revolution that commenced at the beginning of 15th century, strongly influenced by French philosopher René Descartes and his categorical opinion about body and mind being completely separated. Although Descartes was of the opinion that mind and body could communicate through certain parts of the brain, that is the pineal gland, which he believed to be the principal seat of the soul. The basic idea was that the spirit or soul functioned by one set of rules or principles while the body functioned by entirely different mechanisms. Philosophical and theoretical foundations and perspectives. The biomedical model of health and disease is based on three philosophical and theoretical foundations and perspectives. These are René Descartes' philosophy of rationalism, Auguste Comte's positivism, and Talcott Parsons' structural functionalism. René Descartes' philosophy. René Descartes was a 17th century French philosopher who is often called the father of modern philosophy and is credited as a foundational thinker in the development of Western notions of reason and science. Descartes laid the foundation of rationalism. He was strongly against the scholastic Aristotelian philosophy and promoted mechanistic sciences. Descartes, in his search for the truth, wanted to find and apply the right method in the search for truth, a method which would enable him to demonstrate truth in a rational and systematic way, irrespective of whether these truths had been previously acknowledged or not. In his sixth meditation, René Descartes compares human bodies to mechanical entities like clocks. He considered the human body as a machine so built and composed of bones, nerves, muscles, veins, blood, and skin that even if there were no mind in it, it would not cease to move in all ways it does at present when it is not moved under the direction of the will. Descartes believed that the mind or the soul lives within the body, communicating through the pineal gland located in front of the midbrain. Before Descartes, most healers treated their patients within the context of their social and spiritual environment. Descartes' philosophy changed this situation profoundly. His strict division between mind and body led physicians to concentrate on the body machine and to neglect the psychological, social, and environmental aspects of the illness. The assumption of the duality of body and mind has been adopted by the biomedical model. Thus, scientific advancement in 18th and 19th century, coupled with the continuing belief that the mind and the body are separate, laid the foundation of biomedical model of health and illness. Further development in this philosophy led to the emergence and rise of positivism. Positivism of Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte was the father of positivism and inventor of the term sociology. Positivism is considered to be the second philosophical ground on which the biomedical model is based. Positivism is a philosophy of science and asserts that the only authentic knowledge is scientific knowledge. Such knowledge is only possible to produce through positive affirmation of theories and employing scientific methodology which is based on the analysis of the evidence which is observable, empirical, and measurable. It is that philosophy which preaches the interpretation of the world is based on human experience. It insists on the application of scientific method of natural sciences to the study of social world. Comte argued that much as the physical world operates according to gravity and other absolute laws, so also does society. On this basis, Comte developed his law of three stages for society. Comte believed that the progress of human mind had followed a historical sequence which he described as the law of three stages, namely theological, metaphysical, and positive. In the first two stages, attempts were made to understand the nature of things through supernatural and metaphysical explanations. In the positive stage, by contrast, observation and experimentation became the principal means to search for the truth. Applying the law of three stages first to development of the sciences, Comte later claimed that it applied to human intellectual development in general and that it held the key to the future progress of humanity. In his view, society has undergone three progressive phases in its quest for the truth. These include the theological, where God or the divine subsumes human rights; the metaphysical, the post-Enlightenment humanistic period, where the universal human rights of the humanity are most important; and the positive stage, the final scientific stage, where individual rights are more important than rule of any one person. Structural functionalism. Talcott Parsons was an American sociologist who is best known for structural functionalism or functional analysis. Emile Durkheim, Kingsley Davis, and Robert Merton are the other key distinctive theorists of the functionalist perspective. It can be said that functional analysis studies structural items of social system in an attempt to show how they contribute towards integration or inversely disintegration of the system by either fulfilling or failing to fulfill some needs or set of needs of the system, and in an attempt to show how these contributions bear on the existence of the item in the system. Structural functionalism studies the way social structures function to maintain social order and stability. Structural functionalism argues that society resembles an organism consisting of a balanced set of institutions. Each institution is considered to be a structure providing a particular set of social needs or functions in sustaining the stability in society. In explaining this characteristic, Talcott Parsons states that every social system is a functional entity, that is, it's a system of interdependent structures and processes such that it tends to maintain a relative stability and distinctiveness of patterns and behavior as an entity by contrast with its social or other environment, and with it a relative independence from environmental stimuli, but is not completely assimilated to its environment, maintaining rather an element of distinctiveness in the face of variations in environmental conditions. To this end, it is analogous to an organism. Talcott Parsons emphasized that good health and effective medical care are essential for a society's ability to function. Ill health impairs our ability to perform our roles in society, and if too many people are unhealthy, society's functioning and stability will suffer a lot. In the functionalist model, Parsons argued that the best way to understand illness sociologically is to view it as a form of deviance that disturbs the social function of the society. Parsons believed that being sick means that the sufferer enters a role of sanctioned deviance. This is because, from a functionalist perspective, a sick individual is not a productive member of the society. Therefore, such individuals need to be treated by medical professionals so that they can be beneficial to the society. Germ theory. The evolution of germ theory of disease can be traced to ancient speculations about toxic entities that were thought to cause epidemic and endemic diseases. The Greek physician Hippocrates, traditionally honored as the father of Western medicine, and his followers generally attributed infectious disease to poisonous vapors or miasmas that arose from swamps of decomposing materials. The emerging germ theory of disease held the attention of Louis Pasteur in the mid-19th century. His investigations of the diseases of beer and wine, pebrine, a disease affecting the silkworms, anthrax, and fowl cholera, were of immense commercial importance and led to the conclusions which have revolutionized physiology, pathology, and therapeutics. This was the foundation for the power of the biomedical model throughout most of the 20th century. At the same time, though, one of Pasteur's contemporaries, Claude Bernard, suggested that for germ to grow, the terrain of the body must be first prepared. This proposition added an interactive dimension to the linear germ theory model. Later in his life, Pasteur had arrived at a similar conclusion. He repeated to himself even on his deathbed, "Bernard was right, the germ is nothing, the soil is everything." Decades later, in the 20th century, Hans Selye, the father of stress research, coined the word stress in 1936. He defined it as non-specific response of the body to any demand for change. Hans Selye further demonstrated how excessive stress prepared the terrain of the body so that the disease could grow. The philosophical foundation of the mechanistic biomedical model was reinforced by the development of the germ theory of disease in the 19th century, which postulated that every disease was caused by a specific identifiable agent, such as a bacterium or a virus. According to the modern germ theory of disease, infectious diseases are caused by the presence of pathogenic microorganisms within the body. In other words, the germ is that which gives rise to the development of disease. In a series of empirical studies between 1861 and 1880, Louis Pasteur demonstrated that the injection of cholera vibrio into chickens produces this and no other disease. In 1882, Robert Koch discovered the tubercle bacillus, which was regarded as the cause of tuberculosis. These two important discoveries contributed to the doctrine of a specific etiology and the concept of a magic bullet, or a chemical agent that destroy the organisms. The practice of medicine in the 20th century came to rest solidly on the following premises. First, disease is a process accounted for by deviations from the norm of measurable biological parameters. Second, disease is best understood by means of a science like pathophysiology, where principles are formulated in terms of molecular biology, biochemistry, and physics. Third, the human patient is a biological organism, whole body. Fourth, each part of the body is thus a field of specialized knowledge. 5. The cure for a disease is typically achieved physically. For example, reducing or neutralizing the pathogenic agent. Sixth, medicine is an applied science developed through laboratory research. Now the biomedical model. The term biomedical comes from the Greek word bios, which means life, and Latin word medicus, which means healing. The biomedical model of health or medical model, also known as the biomechanical model of health, is sometimes referred to as the Band-Aid or quick fix approach, which focuses on the physical or biological aspects of the disease and illness. It involves trying to diagnose and treat illnesses and conditions once the symptoms are present. It centers around doctors, health professionals, and hospitals that administer the treatment. The focus of the biomedical model is on individuals. The reasons of illness are not the center of the biomedical model, rather the condition itself is the focus and treatments are considered the solution. This form of intervention focuses on biological determinants of health, and as a result, education about behavioral and social determinants of health is generally excluded. The biomedical model of ill health has been at the forefront of Western medicine since the end of 18th century and grew stronger with the progress in modern science. This model underpins the medical training of doctors. Traditionally, medicine had relied on folk remedies passed down from generations, and ill health was surrounded in superstition and religious lore, with sin and evil spirits as the culprit and root of ill health. The emergence of scientific thinking questioned the traditional religious view of the world and is linked to the progress in medical practice and the rise of the biomedical model. During the 19th century, modern medicine was firmly established. Man was studied using dissection, physical investigations, and medical examination. Darwin's thesis, The Origin of Species, was published in 1856 and described the theory of evolution by natural selection. This revolutionary theory identified the place of man within nature and suggested that we were part of the natural world, that we developed from nature, and that we were biological beings. This was in accord with the biomedical model of medicine, which studied man in the same way that other members of the natural world had been studied in the earlier years. The biomedical model of illness was established in early 20th century and posits that all diseases are explainable through some sort of cellular abnormality. The biomedical model is a scientific measure of health and regards diseases as the human body having a breakdown due to a biological reason. According to biomedical model of medicine, diseases either come from outside the body, infect the body and cause physical changes within the body, or originate internally and cause involuntary physical changes. Such diseases may be caused by several factors such as chemical imbalances, bacteria, viruses, and/or genetic predisposition. According to the biomedical model, diseases are caused by injury which may be either external or internal in origin. External causes of disease are divided into physical, chemical, and microbiological. Internal causes of the disease fall into three large categories: vascular, immunologic, and metabolic. Such an organ-oriented medical practice stimulates the development of medical techniques and procedures that extend the knowledge about cell, tissue, and organ functioning, and by which the mechanisms of development and treatment of certain somatic diseases can be revealed. The biomedical model regards treatment in terms of vaccination, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy, all of which aim to change the physical state of the body. The treatment of this model works to remove illnesses by analyzing the pathology of the disease. Then, by following a method of narrowing down possible causes of the disease and strategies for recovery, the best plan of action is administered. Similar to a lock and key, the biomedical model seeks to find a solution that fits the respective problem. The biomedical model is an attempt at combining biological and medical thinking in the clinical setting. There are two interlinked ways in which biomedical model can be seen working in practice. Firstly, scientific knowledge gained from non-clinical research is often used for patients' treatment. And second, the clinical practice itself is undertaken in a scientific way by adopting the same methodology and intellectual rigor as found in pure scientific research. The biomedical model relies on several assumptions, including the concept of mind-body dualism, with the mind and body seen as separate entities and accepting that they can be treated separately. Biomedical approaches have played a central role in health research, providing the basis for more rigorous clinical knowledge, effective interventions, and predictive models of disease and illness. The positive outcomes have included prevention and cures of communicable diseases, public health measures for cholera and typhoid, effective treatment of non-communicable diseases, safe childbirth practices, assisted reproductive technologies, and more recently, discoveries with important therapeutic potential such as isolation of stem cells and the mapping of the human genome. The latest advances have led to the development of what is often referred to as personalized or individualized medicine, in which an individual's genomic imprint is used to predict one's susceptibility to disease and also to tailor individual treatment. The biomedical model used by health professionals evolves solely from pathology, which subsequently means the individual will see the symptoms as indicative of some underlying disease which requires identification and treatment. Wade and Halligan, however, contend that in reality this is not necessarily so, and that many symptoms are exceedingly common and do not occur as a result of the disease. They assert that although many symptoms are a result of pathology, some symptoms are a result of natural experiences and arise spontaneously from bodily activity or as an after effect of bodily activity or circumstances. Beauchamp and Childress, in their seminal work Principles of Biomedical Ethics, highlighted 4 key ethical principles which are as autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. Autonomy and justice were the key principles in ancient Greek regiments. In healthcare, autonomy involves respect for clients' rights to make decisions about and for themselves and their care. Beneficence and non-maleficence are age-old requirements of the Hippocratic Oath for health professionals to do good and do no harm. Principles of the biomedical model. The biomedical model is based on a number of assumptions which can be described as follows. The dualistic division between mind and body is at the heart of the biomedical model. It focuses on causes, and rules are open to discovery, classification, and understanding by scientific method. The biological explanations of disease are sought out from the observed behaviors of the body and the particles associated with the conditions. Knowledge is generated by observation and can be confirmed through a process of experimentation. The medical knowledge can be applied to repair damaged or sick biological systems. Disease is regarded as an affliction of the body and is separate from the psychological and social processes of the mind. Every disease has a specific pathologic origin whose treatment can best be accomplished by removing and controlling its distinctive causes. Characteristics of the biomedical model. Seedhouse in 2001 had identified the following characteristics of the biomedical model. 1. That health is the absence of disease. 2. That health is a commodity with a wide-ranging commercial and business-like dimension. 3. That medical science has produced an accumulation of knowledge which can be applied to bodies as physical objects rather than to bodies as people. That the best way to cure a disease is to reduce bodies to their smallest constituent parts. 5. That health can be quantified in relation to norms for populations, particular groups of individuals, and individuals. 6. That medicine is and should be a form of engineering. Fundamental assumptions of the biomedical model. The assumptions of the biomedical model are as under. All diseases are caused by specific agents such as a germ, virus, or parasite, or by trauma or by disruption of process at cellular or molecular level. All illness and all symptoms and signs arise from an underlying abnormality within the body, usually in the functioning or structure of specific organs, referred to as a disease. Diseases are universal biological or psychophysiological entities resulting from somatic lesions or dysfunctions. From biomedical perspective, the reality should be seen through the glasses of the sciences. The only valuable knowledge is scientific knowledge. The patient is the passive target of medical intervention, since the body is regarded as a machine and it is the body that needs repairing. Restoring health requires only the use of medical technology and advanced scientific procedures. Causes of health problems are located within the individual human body at a biological level. Each disease is seen as having specific biological causes. This is called the doctrine of specific etiology. Only medically trained professionals have the expertise to identify and diagnose health problems. Advantages and disadvantages of the biomedical model. The advantages and the disadvantages of the biomedical model. The biomedical model has many advantages that contribute to the good health status. 1. It encourages research into illness rather than assuming nothing can be done. 2. The knowledge of the causes helps us to avoid illness. 3. Many successful treatments have been developed as a result of biomedical research. 4. It enables many common problems to be treated effectively. 5. It extends life expectancy. Many causes of death that were common in the past, such as some infectious diseases, can now be treated and cured. 6. It improves quality of life. Many chronic conditions can be managed with medication, therapy, or surgery. These interventions can improve the level of health experienced by the individuals. Although the biomedical model is a vital part of the health system and has contributed to the health status experienced in this country, it has some disadvantages which are discussed as below. It ignores the view that health and illness are relative and are socially constructed, at least in part. Kowar, 1989, points out that it suggests health problems are individual and ignores the social factors that can cause illness. It focuses too much on treatment rather than prevention. It overemphasizes disease, ignoring health and important role of medicine in preserving health and not only in the treatment of disease. It relies on professional health workers and technology and is therefore very costly. It doesn't always promote good health. The biomedical model encourages a reliance on quick-fix solutions to health issues. The biomedical concept reduces the disease to the lowest levels, that is, to cells and tissues, not taking into consideration other factors such as natural surroundings, social environment, and mental states. With this, we conclude our today's lecture. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.